All right, welcome to the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something that's kind of a favorite subject of mine, and I call it the third path. And this is about finding opportunities where other people only see obstacles. And it's something that I learned a number of years ago. I had a life coach named Bill who I will always have an owe a forever debt to. That man made a tremendous difference in my life and was incredibly instrumental in my own personal growth. But he always challenged me on this front. He always challenged me in this level because I would frequently come to situations in my life or in running the business where I would feel stuck. And when you feel stuck, the reason is it's because you feel like you only have two choices. And both of the choices that are staring you in the face are choices that are unpleasant, choices that you don't like. So you don't make a choice. You feel stuck because you don't want either one of those choices. You don't either want either one of those options. And then you stop moving forward because you feel like, hey, I can't, I don't want to do either one. I don't feel good about either option here. And so, this is where, we get it stuck a lot. And so we get in these situations, and we have these things come at us all the time. So you'll have a situation where you're like, well, should I cut my prices or should I lose the client? Because like the only way I'm going to get this client is if I knock my prices down or I lose them. Okay. Those are binary choices, right? I either take way less money and don't get paid hardly anything for what I do, or I don't even get the client at all. Like bad choice, bad choice. Neither one is good. Or should I, quit my job or give up on my dream of working for myself? Okay. If I quit my job, well, now I don't have income. Now I don't have anything to support myself with. But I don't want to give up on my dream. I don't want to give up on the hope that I have to be able to do this work that I love, to be able to work for myself. All of these things are false dichotomies. All of these things are living in a place where we think there's only two choices. And because we think there's only an A and a B choice, we get ourselves stuck. We get ourselves into these difficult circumstances. And what happens a lot of times, what happens to far too many people is that people then in turn will choose the third option, which is quit. They'll give up. They'll walk away. And well, I'm just not going to do it then. It's just not going to happen for me. It's not going to work. So I walk away and I give up. I quit. I'm done. And the truth is there's always more than two choices. There is always more than A or B. And my coach was always so good at helping me find that third path, find that third option. And what would usually happen is when I found that third path, when I found that third option, frequently I would see, wait, there's not just a third path. There's a fourth path, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and so on. I actually have a lot more options for solving this problem than what I thought I did. I have a lot more ways to bring about this, bring about a solution to this situation than what I first thought. See, so many times people see obstacles that happen, and it could be obstacles in your personal life, obstacles in your business. We see obstacles as stop signs. We see them as blocks. Well, this isn't working, so I guess I should stop, right? Too many people I see that all the time. People think that, well, this happened, so I guess I'm just going to quit because this is no longer happening. And, this is a problem that we face too often when we get started with something and it just works easily. This is something that when things just work easily and naturally without any problem right out of the gate, what ends up happening is we get confident in that, well, if it's always just going to happen that way, things are always just going to go right out of the gate and we're going to be successful. And then all of a sudden things aren't working so well. And we think, well, wait, what am I supposed to do? I guess it's not working anymore. Instead of maybe thinking that These obstacles aren't barriers, they're invitations to think differently. Maybe instead of like, this obstacle, there's now an obstacle prohibiting me from moving forward. Like, for example, what if you're advertising on a specific social media platform and suddenly you get your ad account shut down? Like a few years ago, that was happening to myself and to thousands of other people who are small business owners. We got our ad accounts just shut down for no reason. Weren't given a warning, weren't told we did anything wrong. All of a sudden one day it's just done. And that was how we were generating all of our leads. That was how we were building our business. And now all of a sudden somebody just went over and unplugged took the cord and unplugged it from the wall and said, nope, you're done. And no one would give us any answers. No one would give us any support. No one would give us anything that said, yep, here you go. You are, you're allowed to, this is why. Nope, didn't care. Just shut us all down. And so all of a sudden now we're sitting there going, well, I can't advertise. And now what are we going to do? We're going to have to chase people, one at a time. Both are terrible options. Both are horrible alternatives. But when you're looking at it from that perspective, you're only seeing two options. You're not seeing all the other places where you could advertise. You're not seeing all the other ways you could go out and get leads. You're not seeing all the other ways you could go out and find ways to connect with people. You're just seeing the two. And you don't like either one because you know that the one door has officially been closed and the other one is very, very manual. Reaching out and posting and doing all these things. There was one person at a time type work. And it becomes very difficult to scale that. And suddenly, you're like, well, I don't want to do that. That would be awful. That would be so much work. And there's only so much time in a day to do this. And so you sit there and think, well, I'm screwed. I'm stuck. I can't go any further. I can't take another step forward. When in reality, there's multiple options that you can do. And so, and here's another example. Let's say that you are friends with someone. You have a relationship with this other individual. And one day you find out something about them, something that they believe, something that they do, something that's in their life that you are adamantly opposed to. You're just like, I cannot believe this person did this. I can't believe this person supports this. I can't believe this person is, in favor of this. I'm just appalled. And you're sitting there and you're going, I'm so upset about this. What am I supposed to do? Continue to be friends with somebody who stands for such a thing? Or so you end up with this binary choice again. You end up with a binary choice of I either support somebody who believes in something that I am 100% opposed to, or I just end the friendship and end the relationship. And far too many people view that as their only two options. Well, if you're going to stand for things like that, you just can't be in my life. Okay. And we all know that has happened a lot in the past few years. All of us have had that. But we're not thinking there's a third path, which is maybe the two of you could have a conversation. Maybe the two of you could talk about it. Why do you believe this? Why do you support that? Why is that something that you agree with? And we could just simply have a conversation. We could talk to each other and we could learn to understand each other. And we don't have to agree. We don't have to say, hey, I agree with everything that you stand for. I agree with everything you support. We can have differences. We're allowed to have differences of opinion, but we can have a talk. We can have a conversation. We can talk. We can sit down. We can have that third option, which is let's try and gain some greater understanding of each other. Let's try to spend a little time getting to know each other a little bit better. Have a little bit of grace, have a little bit of compassion, have a little bit of kindness, and try to learn why do you support that? Why do you feel that way? Because if you'll do that, suddenly you'll realize that you don't have to throw this relationship away. I had that with someone a while ago. This other person and I had very different views on a certain topic and very much there. And I finally got to the end of it. And this person really got upset at me and was really like, I can't believe that you would support that. And I said, you know what? Here's the deal. You and I both want the same thing. We just differ on how to get there. We have different views and different opinions on the best way to get to that outcome. You think it has to be this way, and I think we should go that way. But at the end of the day, we both want the same thing. We both want the same goal. And when we could do that, we were able to find a common ground again. And we realized we really weren't as far away from each other as what originally appeared. We really weren't that separate. We just disagreed on strategy. And as a result, our friendship and our relationship was able to continue. These are things that we could look at each other now and still have respect for one another. We could still look at each other and say, okay, I see your point of view. I don't agree with you, but I respect your point of view. I respect and understand why you would feel that way. And I don't think that that's the right way to do it. But at the end of the day, we're not on opposite teams. We actually are on the same team. We just think that the way to go about solving this problem is different. You think it should go that way, and I think it should go this way. But at the end of the day, we maintain a friendship, and we still are friends to this day because we didn't just do the binary. We looked for an alternative. We looked for another way to resolve it, to have a conversation, to talk, to respect one another, to treat each other with decency. And as a result, we got a very different outcome. All the other people are ending their relationships. All the other people are ending their friendships. And we continued because we didn't look at it as an A and B option. So how do you do this? Well, one of the things that you have to do is you have to learn how to think differently. You have to learn how to think through the process of solving problems. When you're solving a problem, you cannot just look at it going, well, I can either do this or I can do that. You have to learn to think about what are all of my options for solving this problem. And the first thing you have to do is you have to sit there and go, what is the outcome that you want? So, okay, I'm staring at this challenge. I need to get leads for my business, for example. The outcome is I want to maintain my friendship with this individual. The outcome is I want to improve my health. Okay, let's think about that. Okay, so let's take a step back because too many times we get wrapped up into the problem that we're facing, right? We see that like, hey, I need to get leads. Well, there's only, a couple ways to do it, and I don't like either one of those, and so I'm screwed. No. We need to take a step back and stop looking at the problem that we're facing. We stop looking at the challenge that's in front of us. Take a deep breath. Don't think about the challenge for a minute. Think about the outcome. Okay, what do I want? Okay, I want to generate leads for my business. I want to stay friends with this person. I want to become more healthy and in better physical shape. I want to improve my physical health. Okay, so we're taking a step away because when we get stuck, when we get into that place where we feel like we have no options, where we feel like we're hopeless, where we feel like we don't have a way through, it's because all of our attention is focused on the problem that's in front of us. And that's all that we see. We see the problem and we think there's only two ways to go through the problem, so we're stuck and that's it. So the first step to solving that is you have to take a step backward. Instead of focusing on the problem, you have to focus on what is the outcome that you want. What is it that you are trying to achieve? You have to take a step back and say, okay, this is what I want. This is the thing that I'm trying to achieve. I need to generate leads for my business so I can have people to talk to, so I could get clients. So some of them could start to become clients. Okay, great. How many ways could you possibly generate leads for your business? Well, you could run Facebook ads. Great. You could post on social media. Great. You could do live trainings. Okay, great. You could go on other social media platforms. You could do post, if you're doing trying to do corporate training, you could post on LinkedIn. You could do YouTube videos. You could do events on Eventbrite. You could post on Instagram. You could do all of these things. You could do email. You could do a live event in your local community. All of a sudden, you're seeing like all these different ways of approaching the problem. Like I said, what ends up happening is we find that third path. We find that third option. It's not just either I have to run a bunch of expensive ads or I have to reach out to people one-on-one. No, there are lots of different ways of doing this. There are lots of different approaches. Now, the issue is which one is the one that you like the best, which is the one that you want to pursue. Again, maybe you have a situation with a friend or someone in your family that you and them are just not on the same page and you're having lots of issues there. And the choice is and you two are fighting and you're not getting along. And like I mentioned earlier, you stand for different things. You're not in alignment. You're not in alignment with what you value, with what you stand for. And so you have to make a choice. When you have that situation, when you're in that relationship where the other person you're looking at, they're going, I can't believe you support this. I can't believe you're in favor of this. You have a choice to make in that. You can stare at the problem, which is this person stands for something that I disagree with. And you can focus only on that problem. Or you could say, okay, I'm going to take a step back and focus on the outcome. The outcome is I want to maintain a relationship with this person because this person is important to me. And even though we disagree here, I really do value this person in my life. And I would really like them to stick around. I would like them to continue being part of my life. Okay, so how can we work through this? Well, instead of getting angry at each other, instead of condemning each other, instead of writing each other off, we can just start talking it out. And have that conversation. And we can learn and ask questions like, why is it that you believe this? Why are you supporting that? Why is this something that's important to you? What is your, and take a deep breath, step back and have that conversation. And simply look at them and say, okay, I'd like to have instead of me just trying to be right and thinking that you are wrong, I would like to understand you better. I would like to understand why you feel that way, why you think that way. Why are those things important to you? Because it seems absurd to me. But I ultimately, in my goal is, I want the relationship with you. That is my outcome. My outcome isn't to be right. My outcome is to have a relationship with this person, to be friends, to continue to have that person in my life. Okay. So if that's truly the case, then I need to let go of being right. I need to let go of being on principle. And I need to focus on that individual. And I need to try and understand them. I need to take a deep breath, pull myself back and say, okay, I respect this human being. I respect this individual. I want to know more about them. I want to gain greater understanding of them. I want to learn more about them. Why do you feel this way? Why do you think this way? Why is it that you believe this? And in doing so, what you're going to see is you're going to learn a different perspective. And you're going to learn that you're probably not as far apart as you think. They're just seeing things from a different perspective. They're seeing things from a different light. They're seeing things that, from their own past experiences. So many times, like, why do you believe that? Why do you think that? Well, it's because of what happened to them in the past. The things that happened to them, the things that happened to you were different. Your experiences are different. So that they are believing this because of what their past experiences are. Because their insecurities, their fears, their hopes, their dreams are a little bit different than yours. So they're seeing it from a different lens. But at the end of the day, you probably have more in common than you think. And if you're focused on how do I maintain this relationship, what you're going to do is you're going to start looking for commonalities. You're going to look for threads as to how do I hold this together instead of, well, they're wrong. So they're just wrong. and I'm right and they're wrong, and that's all that matters. Okay. And if you're going to take that approach, then you're going to be right, but you're going to lose that person from your life. They're going to be gone. So you have to decide, okay, this is the outcome. And now when you say my outcome is I want to keep that person in my life, I don't want to maintain that relationship, you now see this isn't just about standing on principle. This isn't just about being right or wrong. This is about the person. So I want to talk to the person. I want to have a better understanding. I need to have a conversation, and that third path suddenly starts to open up. This isn't about fighting about the issue. This is about gaining greater understanding of the individual. All of a sudden, the third path is the one that opens up, and you see there's a way to work through this and yet be able to get to the outcome that I want. This is, I want to be able to come to a better understanding of each other. I'm not giving up what I believe in. I'm not giving up what I'm standing for. I'm not sacrificing my values. I'm merely trying to gain an understanding of the other individual. Because if I can do that, then maybe we can both learn to respect each other more. Maybe we can both learn how to have a deeper understanding of each other. We don't either one have to agree with each other, but we can deepen our understanding. We can have a greater appreciation of why you feel that way, why I feel this way, why we have a different view of things, and yet still maintain a relationship, turn down the temperature, and learn how to get along, and yet disagree. Not everyone that is in your life has to think exactly as you do. It's not a necessary thing. It's not a requirement. In fact, having people in your life who don't always agree with you is probably a good thing, because it causes you to not just be locked in a silo only with people who, this echo chamber where you're only hearing people who think exactly like you, because you're not ever hearing a different perspective. You're not ever hearing any other ideas, any other approaches, because you're only hearing from one angle. So when you do this, I just wanted to wrap this up today by talking about every single day of our lives, we're faced with challenges. Every single day, we're faced with obstacles. We're faced with problems. They may be personal, they may be professional. But we're faced with these obstacles, and the natural inclination is to only see the problem from a binary perspective. I can either do this or I can do that, and both options stink. I can either, get mad at the person, or I can, just walk away from them and not even speak of them. Well, or maybe there's another option. I need to get people to talk to start getting clients for my business. And I could either be blasting on social media all the time, which isn't my personality, or I have to spend a bunch of money on expensive ads and lose all my life savings. Okay. Binary choices. What other options are there? What other ways can you do this? There are other ways. You could do a training with someone who has an audience. You could partner with them. You could find options, because there are plenty of options online for advertising that are not that expensive. And if you're willing to get a little creative, you can find a lot of them that you wouldn't have to spend a lot of money to get a bunch of leads. You can do a lot of things. You can learn how to do a bunch of stuff that is alternate options. But the answer at the end of the day is, will you or won't you? All comes down to this. Are you willing to think creatively about your problems? Are you willing to pull the emotion out of it a little bit? Because too often what ends up happening is, bam, we run into a problem, something happened, we get stuck, we get very frustrated about it, we're emotional, we may be angry, we're discouraged, whatever it may be. And that's all we see. So I'm stuck. And we're upset. Or we could take a deep breath, we could look at it and say, okay, this is where I'm currently at. This is the current situation in my life. I'm going to take a deep breath, collect myself, stop thinking about the problem for just a minute, and start thinking about the outcome. The outcome is what I want. So now, if the outcome is the thing that I want, how many different ways are there to get there? How many different ways can I find a way to connect with new people who might be interested in doing business with me? Where can I go to find those people? How can I start a conversation with those people? How many different ways can you come up with? How many different ways can you, in a way that fits your personality, come up with to network with and meet new people? Because all business is about people, right? It's all about relationships. It's all about connecting with individuals. And so if you can do that in different ways, it will work for you. But you have to find the ways that work for you. You have to find the strategy. You have to find the approach that is going to be possible for you. You have to find the approach that fits you. And when you do, boom, run with that one, because that's your third path. Same thing with your relationships. Same things with your health. You may say, oh, I tried dieting. I've tried this. I've tried that. Okay. Are there only two approaches to getting healthy? Starve yourself or work yourself out to the point of dropping dead? No, there's other choices. There are other ways. There are other paths that you can go down. Other ways that you can get to get healthy. There's 1,000 health and weight loss plans out there. Find the one that works for you. Find the one that you look at and go, that fits me. I can do that. That fits my style. That fits my personality. That fits how I like to live my life. I can make that one work. Great. Go use that one. The reason there's 1,000 different health plans out there is because not everybody's the same. Not everybody needs the same things. Not everybody fits the same approach. So for you, find the one that works for you. Find that alternative. Find that other way of doing it. Don't give up just simply because the initial approach wasn't obvious. The initial approach didn't work. I tried dieting and it sucks. It's awful. Or I tried going to the gym and now every muscle in my body hurts. Okay. Well, maybe lifting weights isn't your thing. Maybe doing something else, doing another type of exercise. There are 1,000 ways that you can exercise. Go for walks. Go jogging. My daughter does dance and does these bar exercises and things. There's all sorts of different ways that you can do things. Find something that you like. Find something that you enjoy, and something that you will stick with, that fits you. And when you do that, okay, now you're going to stay. Now you're going to keep doing it. Now you found an alternate, that third path that's going to lead you to your solution. But the only way that you're going to get there is you always have to keep in mind, what is the outcome that I want? Take a deep breath when you face your problems and simply ask yourself, what is the outcome? What do I want from this situation? What is the best outcome that I can choose? And one of the things I've always learned is, especially when you're having challenging relationships with somebody, say they're causing you problems. We'll just say that they are causing you issues. They're being difficult. They're causing a lot of problems. They're not being easy to deal with. And, too many times what I would want to do is react out of frustration. I would want to sit there and out of frustration go, oh, I just want to tell them off. I just want to do that. And then, my coach would always say, okay, David, if you do that, what's going to happen? Well, now I got more problems, because I would have said a lot of things that would have caused even more hurt and even more wounds. And now I got to clean up that mess. Okay. So what other ways could you solve this? Okay. Because if your outcome is, I want to deal with this issue, but I also want to maintain the relationship, now we have to come up with a different approach, which isn't just to react out of frustration. We have to find a way that I can solve the issue with them, have that discussion with them, to work it out with them without blowing everything up. Okay. See, when you're able to take a step back from your emotions, when you're able to take a step back from your frustration, from your discouragement, from the woundedness, from the hurt, from the pain, and you're just able to say, okay, what do I want from this situation? What would be the best outcome that I could get from this situation? And if that's really what I want, if that's the good that I would like to see come from this, now what is it going to take to get there? What will need to happen for me to get there? And you start listing them out. Not every idea that you're going to come up with is going to be the right one for you. Not everyone is going to be the correct one for you. But what you're going to start to realize is that, I'm not stuck. I'm just not thinking the way I need to think. I need to be able to pull myself back. I need to give myself a deep breath. I need to be able to think objectively, calm my emotions down, and look at the situation and simply say, okay, this isn't about my frustration. This isn't about the problem. This is about the solution. And how do I get there? How do I get there in a way that's going to cause the best outcome, not only for me, but for the other individual or for the situation? And when you start thinking about that way, typically what ends up happening is you find solutions. But not only do you find solutions, you're finding ways to do it in such a way that hurts people a lot less. You're not injuring the other person. You're not causing collateral damage. You're not blowing everything up because you acted out of frustration and you spoke in such a way that was like, I said some things there I probably shouldn't have said because I was upset. Okay. I took a deep breath. I thought, I collected myself, and I said, okay, what do I want? I want this relationship to continue. I want to be able to get leads. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. Okay. How can I get there in such a way that's going to give me the best result that I could get? And when I do that, suddenly my brain gets unlocked. And I can start thinking about options and alternatives that I didn't think about before, because previously I was locked into frustration. So I hope this is helpful to you today. This has been one of the things, like I said, when Bill became my life coach all those years ago, he does no idea just how much help he gave me and how much of an impact he had by teaching me these things. This has radically changed my life, but my ability to take a deep breath, not just act out of frustration, not just act out of discouragement, but to take a deep breath, say, okay, this is where we're at. I may not like it. I may not want to be in this situation, but it's where we're at. So take a deep breath. What do I want to do now? What is the outcome that I want to get from this? And how can I do it in such a way that gives me the best result possible with hurting the least amount of people, with causing the least amount of damage, and yet still getting us to where we want to go? And in doing so, life started to change in a big way. So I hope you can use this for yourself. As always, if you ever have questions, you can always reach out to me and let me know. Always encourage you to check out designlaunchgrow.com. That's where we will work with all of our people. That's all I got for you today. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you again very soon.